Okay, hello everybody. Do I have Dan Calistrat here? Check.
Hello.
Good. And Aaron is here.
Hi.
Excellent. So I see some people are still clock and the attendees are still arriving. I'd like to welcome everybody here. My name is Paul. I am the Executive Vice President at Axiom. Today's webinar is MicroStation and OpenRoads time-saving plugin. It's going to be a review presented by Mr. Dan Calistrat, a MicroStation educator. This is link Excel and Word data right into MicroStation and OpenRoads with formatting. So we are really excited to get that information to you. Once again, my name is Paul. I'm the Executive Vice President here at Axiom, and you'll always have me as a resource. I am the moderator for the webinar. I'll tell you a little bit about Axiom, why people are still arriving. Around for 30 years, providing third-party applications and plugins, which are basically productivity utilities that for MicroStation, AutoCAD, Revit, and we've listened to the engineers and we get feedback for, quite some time from thousands of engineers, many of them in the Fortune size companies. They work on projects that are of national asset scope. We're talking about roadways, railways, airports, water treatment facilities, oil, bridges, tunnels. We work with a lot of government agencies, departments of transportation, the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Leave it at that. So that being stated, I am happy to have you here today. We do make software for AutoCAD and Revit as well. We help engineers eliminate the worst parts of their design job. We help you get rid of those repetitive tasks and those pieces of work that will actually get you home on time. Today, I'd like to present Mr. Dan Calistrat, who is our host and our presenter. And with no further ado, I'd like Dan I want to introduce Dan. He is a licensed professional engineer of 25 years. He has a business where he has, I think, for 15 years now, and he provides MicroStation education, and I'll let him, speak a little bit more to that. We also have Mr. Aaron Smith, who is our Vice President for Technology here, and he will be available live on chat. So if you go into your sidebar, you will see that you'll have an opportunity to participate in live chat,
right?
ask questions, and we may even have some time to field some of those questions.
I'll try to reply to folks individually, Paul, and also, we might have some time for me to read some of those questions to everybody as well. But I'll try to at least get back to everybody.
That's cool. Okay. Before I give the floor over to Dan, I do want to run just a quick poll to find out what type of platform that everybody's on. Are you using V8? Are you using Connect? Does anybody use V7? Do you use AutoCAD? Do you use Revit? Because the plugin that Dan is going to be going over today actually is made individually for different platforms, and we have that available for all of those platforms. And it's amazing. In MicroStation, many folks like to know, oh my gosh, this is great because the primary functionality is bringing in Excel documents into MicroStation. But as in Revit, we find that most of our public is really excited to know that we actually can bring in Word documents.
Yeah.
Okay, enough with that poll.
Also, for AutoCAD, it's mentioned there, we support Civil 3D.
Oh, that's a great
Which will
point.
matter to the folks here, probably.
Yep.
Some of the folks.
And there's the results there. So yeah, we still have
Cool.
people using V7, and most of the folks are on V8 as expected. But you could see the majority, not a majority, but a good amount of them are going over to Connect. That's for
Yeah, that
sure.
follows what we've been seeing with our user base in general. That's really cool.
That's right. So I
Awesome.
do want to turn everything over to Mr. Dan Calistrat.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. It's good to be
Sure.
back with y'all. Nice to be showing another Axiom tool. So we are at DTM Solutions. We provide training classes for all size companies as well as government agencies. So we've been at a lot of DOTs and, like Paul mentioned, Federal Highways, Army Corps of Engineers. So we do mostly training classes, a lot of project support and implementation services. We just started working on workspaces as well, which is important with the new Connect version, standards, and then design and CAD production as well. And we're going to show today some of the tools that I've relied on since the first day I hit a copy and paste command out of Excel and trying to get that data back into MicroStation, and realized that we needed something better. And as you can see from the slide there, this is how we brought data in from Excel and Word documents and imported them straight into MicroStation. Of course, now with OpenRoads and OpenRoads Designer, we need that design data. So we're going to go over a little bit of design, how we do it with OpenRoads, and then quickly get into a report and show you how we take that report out to Excel. We can format it any way we need to, and then bring that back into MicroStation efficiently and effectively with the proper formatting, and everything just operates so smoothly with the Office Importer tool. So we're happy to be showing this today, and thanks for joining us.
Great. That's exciting. So Dan, would you cover just a little bit about what we may be covering in today's plugin review webinar?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. So we use OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition, and it's a great program for corridor type designs. So in this demo, I think we've got 26 miles of roadway. We're just going to quickly have a horizontal alignment, a vertical alignment, and then design a quick corridor on it, and immediately go to reports and generate those reports, then use Axiom's Office Importer and bring those back into MicroStation. Check the format, make sure everything's correct, and so we'll show that quite a few times
Awesome.
in the upcoming videos.
Cool.
Okay.
So just as a reminder, Mr. Aaron Smith is on our live chat. You can send in questions. Once again, he is the Vice President for Technology, so if you have any questions, please ask Aaron. And if in the future you happen to want a private one-on-one demonstration of this utility as it speaks to your business case, we have Mr. Frederick Keniston available to do those as well.
Yeah, Frederick isn't on the webinar today. He is, he's available, and he's the primary person that does those trainings.
And cool. He does a great presentation as well. He's taught me a lot of things over the years, and he really knows the Office Importer.
Yeah,
so,
he sure does. But Dan has provided. He actually spent some time and did a couple of really cool presentations that I'd love to show you. Dan, are you ready for us to dive into number one?
I'm all set, ready to go. That's right.
Okay. The first one that we're going to be doing, Dan, is the presentation on horizontal reports. Did you want to speak to that for a second?
So we're going to show the horizontal alignment of a 26-mile roadway, and quickly generate a report out of that, and then bring that back into MicroStation via the Office Importer. We'll show you a little bit of the design first in OpenRoads, and then show you how easy it is to access any sort of report via a spreadsheet type format, and then of course use the Office Importer tool to get that data back where we need it, whether it be plan view, profile view, or in the sheets eventually.
Okay.
All right.
That's awesome, Dan. So I'm going to show that video now. I just want to let all of our attendees know that once the video is done, we will come back on the screen, and we have some further things to tell you. What you're in for right now is quite a treat. When we go to at different conferences, almost every engineer that I know that looks at it and goes, whoa, this is great. It's going to save me a ton of time.
That's right, and Dan's broken this down into several discrete topics, and each one's got a little video about it. So we'll come back, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll show some more as well.
Yeah, they're short videos. They're about maybe 11 minutes, something like that.
That's the big one. It's the big first one, and then they get smaller.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Here we go.
All right, thanks again for joining us today. We are reviewing the OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition, and we'll be using Axiom's Microsoft Office importer to connect with our data inside the OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition. I've been using Office importer since my days at Geopack. In Geopack world and in InRoads world, we used to carry all of our data in extraneous files. With OpenRoads Designer in the Connect Edition, we've come a long way, and we finally have the ability to store everything inside the DGN file, as opposed to having multiple extraneous files where we store all our data. So the Office importer is a paramount tool that we've used extensively, and really makes a great case for the OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition, where everything is stored in the DGN. So I'm going to start my demo with, as you can see, this is I-35, which is in Austin, Texas, and I just picked the largest project I could find. So you can see we've got about 26 miles on this. So it's rather a long project, 136,000 linear feet perhaps, but it's a great project to test both OpenRoads Designer and the data that we get out of it into Office Importer and then back into our DGN file. So with OpenRoads Designer, everything is stored in the DGN file, so we're going to access all of our data with just clicks, button clicks, and of course we've got the menu system. And we'll use both of those to create reports and take those reports out to, of course, Microsoft Excel, which is going to be our storehouse for comma separated values type data, save it as a spreadsheet, and then bring it back with Office Importer. So I'm starting out with just a base file. I do have a terrain model that is attached to the file, and simply by clicking on it and getting our heads up toolbar, we can turn information on and off. And this is how we'll also click on data and simply click export to get it into the Excel format. So you can see I've got all my existing contours turned on, and those can be turned on and off just as easily as it is to create Excel spreadsheets of our reports on our data. So with this centerline alignment, first thing I'm going to do is check to make sure we have a profile on it. So I'm going to simply come and open two windows, two different MicroStation views, set them side by side in the tile mode, and click the centerline alignment, and ask my heads up toolbar to create the profile model. So as you can see, everything is stored in the DGN file. There's no need to take this out to a GPK file or an ALG file as we used to do with Geopack and InRoads. So now that I have a horizontal alignment and a proposed vertical alignment, I'm just going to show how easy it is to create a quick corridor on this. I'm not going to do all 26 miles, although we have done that, and OpenRoads handles it fine, as does the Office Importer. So I'll just create a corridor using this base alignment and using this proposed profile. This is IH35. And I'll use just a 2-lane. We'll of course expand that in the future. And I'm just going to place a corridor up to our first bridge. Finish out my MicroStation prompts. And of course the last click processes, and I've got my corridor. So at this point, OpenRoads is ready for the next template drop or the next corridor. At this point, I want to view my reports. So we're going to start with a horizontal report, go to the vertical, and then corridor reports. So to get the horizontal report, I'm just going to click on the centerline profile. There's actually 3 ways to gather this report. Strictly from the graphics, there's a heads-up menu system, which allows me to access horizontal geometry report. If you prefer, you can of course always get it from the ribbons, and there's a report. All the report buttons for geometry are on the geometry tab here. There is one more way to access the reports, and that is from the Explorer. So this stores our OpenRoads model, and within this DGN file, I've got access to everything that Explorer can find, and I can right click and create reports from here as well. So this gives me my horizontal geometry report. Again, it's not in a GPK file, so this report style data becomes pertinent to storing our content, and it's best to have this in some sort of spreadsheet. We've got 2 methods for spreadsheets. You can either right click on this report and then export it to Excel. Now that's going to just quickly open up Excel and put it in a comma separated values file, and so there's no formatting. There's some few problems with the text conversion. So the better method we found for this is not to save that, but to actually file save as, and this will save it in various formats. We're of course going with Excel, so we can use Axiom's Office importer to get it back in. So we'll just simply call this horizontal alignment for I-35. Click Save, and that generates the Excel spreadsheet which stores all our data. So for the next trick, we need to be able to get this data back into our DGN file. And for that, I'm just going to go over and look at where I stored the file. Double click to open it. And as you can see, it's already pre-formatted. It has some nice formatting content in it already. It's already a spreadsheet. So this would be good to go. We can obviously do any type of formatting we need before we use Office Importer to make it look a little bit better. So I'm just going to put some borders around it and use the Office Importer to bring this data back in. So as you can see, I've got the Office Importer shown here in the background. It's just a few buttons, and of course we start with the most important, which is the paste. So we can copy as much data as we want or as little data as we want. Simply with a right click, copy, come over back to our DGN file, and with the Office Importer, I'm just going to paste it back straight into the design because I want to see my report as quickly as possible. So I'm going to hit the paste Excel. The data is already copied. Office Importer analyzes the clipboard contents, prepares the paste. It all happens pretty quickly, even for this is a 26-mile alignment. Okay, so the paste is ready. I do have some options that I can choose from at this point. These are my pasting scales, height and width of the fonts, which can be locked to a aspect ratio. And if I zoom in, you'll be able to see the outline of the paste start forming. And this is important for me because I want to see where my paste is. As you can see, it's going to be one long column. So I'm going to use this option here to split the paste into columns. So the first button click pastes the data. The second button click, as you can see, dynamically and quickly lets me choose how many columns I want, the height of those columns, the spacing of those columns. It's all very dynamic and quick, which is important for me. As a designer, I want to see this data quickly. I'm also going to repeat the Excel header. So as I'm pasting into multiple columns, final button click pastes the data, and as you can see, it put the report inside the DGN in the same format as the spreadsheet. We'll eventually come back, of course, and put this data inside a plan sheet, but for me as a designer, I want to be able to see this data quickly and know that this data is stored both in the spreadsheet and with a link back to the DGN file. Now that link is a live link, so the Office importer remembered that, and I have the ability to edit that source data. So this button will open up Excel and let me edit that source data. Third button manages all of the content. So clicking this shows you where the file is, the path to that file. There are some other options here as to how this got pasted. Now this is the link itself. You'll notice it's got a couple of tabs. The symbology tab lets me change the text symbology and also the border symbology. So typically my first paste is to just accept the defaults and make sure that my data is secure inside my DGN file. And at that point I can start making changes if I need to. The fourth button is going to list all active spreadsheets within this DGN file. At this point I've just got one. I can fit it in this view so I can see exactly where it is in this spreadsheet. Okay, so that's the first spreadsheet. We're going to come back and do the same thing for the proposed profile.
Okay, well, that was quite something.
Quick and easy. Quick and easy. That's
Yeah.
important for us to be able to get that information into MicroStation that easily and in a format that's usable is great for us.
Aaron, your mic.
Yeah, our focus is making sure that it fits into how you want to work, right? We don't want to dictate your workflows. Like the way you use it could differ a little bit from the way somebody else doing similar kinds of work prefers to use it. So we want to fit into that. Also, being flexible means that you can use it on a project that's different, right? So not only do we want to accommodate users who are different, but projects, all kinds of variations in in projects, which is why the software translates so well to starting with MicroStation all the way over to AutoCAD, but then even into BIM with Revit. And there's, for each one, we really listen to our users and try to make it fit appropriately in that platform. But it's flexible enough that like the basic idea of it is done in such a way that it's pretty universal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things we do is, as a trainer, I go into a lot of offices working on a lot of different projects, and I see this tool being used all the time.
All right.
So it's good. I got that, Dan. So you've been doing MicroStation training now for how long? I understand that Dan's been in business for 15 years, where he's providing and he's the sole proprietor of that business, and we have the pleasure of having him here today. That's for sure. His next video is going to be Dan. I was just speaking to your next video, which is how to move things into sheets.
Right. You want to jump right to the sheets? You want to do the vertical profile?
That's great.
Really,
I think we can probably skip the profile. It's the same methodology that we used to get the plan view in. So I think we can skip that and start going in the sheets, and that's the real power is having some plan sheets available.
That's actually a
Good,
good
I'll-
example of what I was just saying, which is that it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's pretty universal. You know, use it in both ways. The workflows are, you know, applicable. So cool. All right. So this next one is shorter than the first. If we're going to go right to the sheets, which is a good one. Here we go.
All right.
Okay, so finally I know that I've got my corridor designed. I've got the horizontal and vertical profiles designed. I've got the corridor designed. I've got corridor reports. I'm ready to start putting this into my sheet files and using the Office importer to gather that information from Excel and put it into the sheet files. So with the Connect Edition, with the finally added the ability to create automatic plan and profile sheets and cross-section sheets. And so I've got an empty sheet file, and this is the default straight out of OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition. So I'm ready to gather the information I need and bring it in through Office Importer. So for the first one, I'm going to grab the plan sheet, and I've created the horizontal alignment for I-35. Check that it's in the correct format. It is. Again, I can, if I want, do additional formatting, and all that formatting is brought through Office Importer. So I'm going to click all the data. Again, in case I want to add more data to this file, Office Importer knows that I've selected the entire sheet. And then I can come back to my plan sheet and click paste on the Office Importer. Okay, once again, it analyzes the clipboard contents. Then it's going to prepare it for the paste, make sure all the data is correct, and I'm after these dynamics again. So it gives you a nice outline to show you I've got a lot of data. It's not all going to fit in this sheet now, so I am going to need to paste it into columns. And that's what this option does here, is split the paste into columns. So the first button click starts the paste, and then from there it goes dynamic, so you can see the spacing of the columns and whether or not it's going to fit on the sheet. Final button click places it in the sheet. Now I've got a nice horizontal alignment report that is linked, and I can manage that link back with Office Importer in case changes are made, and Office Importer is automatically going to check that when the TGN file is opened. So now that I've got my horizontal alignment report in, I'm going to go to the next sheet file, which was generated by OpenRoads Designer. You can see I've got some double plan views. I've got some plan and profile sheets. So I'm just going to go into sheet number 2. And this one, let's go ahead and grab the component quantities. So all we need to do is open that file, component quantities, check that it's in the right format. It is. I've already formatted it, so I've got the borders like I need them around each cell. Highlight all the data. Copy. It's as simple as a copy and paste command. And the benefit, of course, we get with this paste that it's analyzing the clipboard contents, and there's no limits to the size of the matrix. So I can place as much data as I need. You can see it's going to be too much data to fit on the sheet. So I'm going to proportion it out into multiple columns and paste it. So here I've got my quantities reports. And probably the most invaluable button to me on the Office Importer tool is the settings dialog, the preferences. I think anytime you're in a software, you're looking for your favorite button, your favorite tool set. And for me, it's always about the settings, because I want to be able to store these settings, and clients often do, with different symbologies based on the project. So the settings dialogs lets you do that. You can see you've got text formatting and font, different borders, different scales, and this is a modifiable list, so I can add different scales to this list for different projects. This is how the pasting command came in. This is how I want the Office importer to link with that data. And this is important for me, is to automatically update when the design file opens. And you can turn these options on and off. But it's a really seamless operation. As soon as the DGN file is opened, it checks the data and updates if necessary. And then finally a list of all the links. And then of course, with any settings dialogs, the second best settings is the ability to save those settings. So this saves settings on exit, just like MicroStation, but you can also save these settings to this type of project. So just hit File, Save As, and that saves the settings to any file type you need, so that you'll be ready to use those settings on the next project.
You're muted, Paul. You're doing what I did.
Okay, I'm back to.
Hey,
We're back now.
Good
So
deal.
again, that was another awesome video. And Aaron, I think I'd like to just see if there's one question that we have from Jeff Vasque.
Look at that.
Vosk. I don't know how the pronunciation is, so you have to bear with me on that.
All right.
And I'd like to see if we can't field that now, or if it's something we might want to do in a little bit.
I'm going to reply to him first. I'll do it after
Okay.
after the next video. Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough. So Dan, the next video we have lined up is going to be, more advanced sheets. So what I'd like to do is, before we do that, I just want to take a breather with our audience for a second, and I'd like to run a quick second poll. I'll leave it up for 30 seconds, and I'd like to see that if somebody in the audience does in fact like what they have seen for our tool, which is the MicroStation, the Microsoft Office Importer for OpenRoads, you would have an opportunity to receive more information via email. So I'm going to launch this poll right now. And if you would like more information regarding our tool and our plugin for MicroStation, or MicroStation and OpenRoads, or for AutoCAD, or for Revit, just let me know. I'm glad to send that to you.
Of course,
and,
those are the products that we support and that we help Axiom support. So if you need any assistance with those, we've also got Axiom standing by, and then as a training provider, we can show you how to use those tools effectively for your projects as well.
Excellent.
Absolutely. And by the way, a lot of folks have other members of their teams, that you might not be using it for, let's say Revit, but you might have a team inside of the building that may, and we could send you the link or some information, and you could always pass it on. It always is nice to give a power flow to some of your colleagues, or maybe to some old college friend across the country. Okay, we're going to close that poll down.
So hey, Paul, I can. You had mentioned a question from Jeff in the. All I have, it looks like Jeff has raised his hand, but there's no question that's coming through on my side. So I have to, Jeff, if you want to type in your question, it'll pop up on my side, but it hasn't yet. But I have some questions from other people. Is it coming up for you?
Yeah, it says, Jeff asks, can you control any background to mask graphics?
Any background to mask graphics? Yeah, Jeff's question didn't come through to me. I don't know why, but I got some other people's questions, but I don't know what that means.
So I think we're looking to mask. Yeah, if we happen to place the text on top of some graphics that are already there, we want the ability to mask that. The ability or the inability to mask it, depending upon what you need. Preferably, we try to place content like this where we don't have to mask, but obviously the mask option is available, and it will mask out nicely on top of other graphics, so that you get to determine what you want to be seen and where you want to see it. So that's important too.
Awesome. Thanks,
Good,
Dan.
fair
Great.
enough.
Makes sense.
So Dan, I'd like to move on to our next short video clip
And it's
on
our
what you
final
did
video.
with yeah, it's the final video. Good point. So let's show that now, and then we'll be right back after that.
All right,
Okay,
guys, and
with
get
some
ready.
more
This one's really
very
fast.
information, sure.
Here we go.
Like, can you miss it?
So lastly, you'll probably want to get creative with your Excel spreadsheets so that when your spreadsheet changes, you're ready to update your planner profile sheets and have the data in the spreadsheet update as well. So for this one, what I've done is I'm going to show a simple link in the reports. So as you'll see, I've outputted my reports in standard CSV files, and I can open those up, and that's just standard comma separated values. So as that data changes, I want another spreadsheet that reads that data. And so in this spreadsheet, it's going to automatically read for me, and this is just a custom spreadsheet I built. It's reading the CSV files and inputting the data from the CSV file using just this simple link, Microsoft Excel link to read that CSV file. So when that CSV updates, this report will update as well. And this, of course, has all the formatting that I need. So the process with the Office importer is the same. We're going to click the first row, which is, in my case, a merged cell. I can copy the data that I need here. Right click and copy this data. Come back into my sheet files. Use the Office importer to paste that data. And with this, we're going to, let's see, yep, place the data. As you can see, it's reading the Excel spreadsheet. So when this spreadsheet changes based on my CSV output, my main spreadsheet updates, and then I can use the Office importer to manage that link. It's going to read that Excel spreadsheet, so when changes are made, it can update the file if necessary.
Okay, that was our final video from Dan, and once again, a great video. Aaron?
Great tools. Appreciate those tools.
I agree. Now, I did want to take a second.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to move a few things around here. I did want to take a second and show our all of the people that have joined us today.
Yeah.
What our Axiom website looks like real quick. And what this is we support tools. This is our, our main page here. We are, when you look at Axiom, there's a lot of businesses named Axiom, but we are Axiom Int, I-N-T. Okay, so take a look at our website, save it, bookmark it. We have plugins and different productivity utilities for MicroStation that we've been developing over 30 years. The one you saw today was called Microsoft Office Importer. And on this website, you will have very specific other videos and different links and stuff like that. Also in your webinar sidebar, you will see that there's a handout that you can download and print out. And we also have tools for Revit, and we also have tools for AutoCAD. And at any time in the future, I would like to extend an opportunity to you to come and get a live demonstration. It's one-on-one, one over 20 years experience in MicroStation. So we're not assigning any junior resources for the most part to people who are calling in, and we could speak directly to your business case. And these are things that we pride ourselves in here at Axiom, which is our customer service and the level of care that we've taken that allowed us to stay in business for 30 years. So that being said, I did want to give an opportunity for Aaron. If you have any more questions that you'd like to field, this is a good time to do that.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why you were able to see that one question, but I got all the others, so I'll give you a couple. I've got one. I'll answer. I have already finished answering everybody individually, but one we got Robert Shaw. How big? Sometimes these questions come in before the question gets answered. I know that you covered this, Dan, but Robert Shaw, how big can the spreadsheets be? This is for the importing, and I'll take the answer. I'll take that one because I know the spreadsheets, like Dan said, can be as big as you can make them in Excel. The real limit there is just how big do you really want it to be? You know, do you want it to fit inside one border? Some folks are bringing things into multiple sheets, and that's okay too. You can do a multi-sheet cut sheet if you want to do that. But most of the time, folks are going, I want to bring in this amount, and it allows you to do that. You can bring in exactly what you're copying from Excel, and you can control that, and it brings in just what you're asking for and links that. Also, it's important to mention, it's not really part of the question, but it's important to mention there that as these things grow, as your spreadsheets grow, people add rows and things like that. We totally support that. We can have it be elastic or grow inside of ORD or MicroStation or AutoCAD Civil 3D, Revit, whichever version of the software you have. So as your spreadsheets are growing, you're adding rows or removing rows, columns too, but it's usually rows. We can have that stuff expand automatically like rubber band inside when it updates inside of CAD or BIM. Or sometimes you don't want it that way. So you can also turn that off on a per paste basis. So you don't have to have things automatically growing, because sometimes you need exactly that space. And then your next sheet starts right where that one leaves off. So you do not want them changing size, right? But you maybe want the last one to grow a bit, right? As rows, and it all, as rows are added. So it just all cascades through. So you have total control over that. So thanks to Robert for that question. Next one is Matt. Now I'm going to guess, because there's like an 80% chance that Matt is in either Texas or maybe Florida, because the question is, any problems with the Leroy font? No problems at all. A lot of use of our software in Texas and elsewhere, and we work with any font that MicroStation can handle. So Office Importer, TrueType fonts, MicroStation RSC fonts, or if you're in like AutoCAD and you're using AutoCAD fonts, that's totally okay too. So any font you want, we take all comers, no problem. The thing to watch for when you're using fonts is you want to use fonts that have all those special characters in them, because we're kind of opening, sometimes for people, we're opening a new world of like, wait, pretty much anything I get into these Excel tables, I can get into MicroStation now. So people start getting, let's go with some, like the electrical guys will go, hey, let's do some superscript and some subscript. That stuff totally comes in. But then don't start using fonts where, you don't have that special symbol in MicroStation. So if you're using the same font in MicroStation as you use in Excel, so your project allows you to use TrueType fonts, you're good to go. If you have, but if you have to use like some RSC font, well, which might not have all those special things, make sure that stuff works, and that rather that you've got that special character in that RSC font, that MicroStation style font, that matches something you're doing in the TrueType font in Excel. Now, I'll mention too that over the years, we've listened to our users, and we actually, if you have that symbol, like, diameter symbol, let's say the diameter symbol is a little bit different in your font, but it's in the resource font, but it's a little different in Excel, it's some different character number. We actually automatically map those. And as clients use other font combinations and stuff, we're always keeping up with that. So every new version of Office Importer can come out with, every new release of that software comes out with more mappings that just automatically go, okay, so this center line character, we want to change, it is in that special font, but we need to automatically handle it. So you don't have to, you can have it look good in Excel and have it look good in also in ORD or MicroStation or whatever. So all that stuff is just handled behind the scenes. And that's just something that we've grown over time, because you got to go, okay, why doesn't this thing come in? And then somebody calls us and we go, well, let's find out what the deal is, and we fix it, and we add that feature, and it just all disappears. And that's why what Dan brought in looked fantastic, even in that that advanced sheet he had with the CSVs in it, which I was starting to say earlier, but I had myself muted. That was my favorite spreadsheet of all of them, because it was really real, as were all of his reports. But that one is something that was just totally something he needed for what he does. It was, he created something completely original, and the software also works perfectly with that. Excel handles that CSV coming in, and we bring in what you really see in Excel, and that's our focus, is making it look just like it does in Excel. So your formulas and stuff, we bring in the actual result of the formulas, just like, and that's why Dan's advanced spreadsheet came in perfectly. I noticed even had subscript and stuff in it, which we handle great, like I mentioned. So this whole thing is about making it just, magically work, and giant pace, adding rows, funky characters, weird fonts. It's all really good. Now I have one last question. I'm gonna paraphrase this one, so I'm gonna leave out the name. But I think this is a good closing question. This is for Dan. It's outside of my wheelhouse. Basically, I don't want to move to ORD, but my client wants to move. So, that's going to happen.
Okay.
Basically, I think they don't want to, I don't want to deal with it. I've got everything going in Geopack, so I think this person's saying, change my mind, right? So what can they expect when their client drags them into ORD and in the near future?
Yes, well, I think what we can expect, what we should always be expecting with new software is the ability to do things a little bit easier, and the ability for it to handle more. And I know that was one of the previous questions, is how big of a file can we get? And anybody who knows me knows that I like to test large things, large amounts of data. And so
Texas, man.
I ran it with 63,000 rows of data in a spreadsheet, which was off of my corridor design, and put that back into the DTN file. And I don't think I could have done that without ORD. Just the ability of the 64-bit software to handle that amount of data is a huge time saver. OpenRoads, this is just a newer version of OpenRoads, so you had OpenRoads for a long time. It's been in SS4. It's even had some semblance of it in SS2. So it's not too far of a stretch to go to ORD, and most of the government agencies are going with it. The date was supposed to be January 1st. I think they pushed it back a little bit, but we need to be ready because that date is coming. So it's good to get some of these demos. Axiom is really good with those. Whenever I need a demo, there's always, you probably noticed on their website, a little chat window pops up, and you can chat with them right online there. They can answer any questions you've got. We obviously offer training classes. All of them have been in OpenRoads Designer. I will mention that because people are moving to it. And so I think that the faster you assimilate it into your projects and into your company and your workflows, the better you're going to be suited to handle the competition that comes with that.
Fantastic. That's incredible. So that's a great bow on top. It's a great last question. I really like that your basic answer was, don't be afraid of ORD. It's actually going to make things better. And rather than software making things more complex, it's a great example. OpenRoads Designer seems like a great example of software making your work go better, making not just for larger files, right, but also just other increased efficiencies. And
Yes.
that's awesome. And that resonates for Paul and I, and I know you too, Dan, because we're all about improving things through software.
Yes, and keeping it all in one software is important. And so with OpenRoads Designer, everything is stored in the
keeping
DGN.
it all in one file. Yeah,
all in one file. So you know where all the data is. You don't have to worry about, there were dozens, there were actually hundreds of external files that Geopack used and Inroads used, and we get to keep them all in one place now. It's all in the DGN. All the data is right there.
And using Office Importer is consistent with that, right? Because these are not made-up questions. This is fantastic. This is perfect for what we want to talk about. We're consistent with that because when you submit, all that data is really drawn inside the DGNs by Office Importer. So you don't have to give your clients your spreadsheets. And if your spreadsheets have formulas in them, you don't want to give your client, all the more reason, all the better, because Office Importer really draws that stuff with text and text nodes and lines inside of your DGNs. It doesn't disappear because it's not referenced in, but it's linked, so you get the benefits of references without the drawbacks, and you don't add files to your submittals.
Perfect.
Freaking awesome. Great. Thanks, Dan.
That's great. Dan, it was great having you here today, and thank you for sharing everything with us that you did. Aaron, you as well. I would love your feedback.
Thanks for inviting me, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. In closing, we have a webinar special for all of the guests who have stayed and have joined us today. We have a 20% discount on our pricing. So this will be valid only until Friday, the 28th of February. You could call in and let them know that you have attended this webinar and that you are available, you're entitled to get this 20% discount. Or you could email VPS, which stands for Vice President Sales at axiominc.com. You are welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can call in and ask for Paul. I'm the Executive Vice President, and I will, make things go right for you. There's a ton of ways you can get in contact with us. Remember, I've showed you the webpage at www.axiomint.com. So bookmark that. And outside of that, I want to thank everybody for coming. It's been a
Thanks, everybody.
lovely little piece of the afternoon.
Excellent.
All right.
Have a good day.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye, guys.